Crane, Indiana, September 1961.
Is this what people mean when they say time is not linear?
A hairy mastodon sat over the hole and took a nap. Of course, I thought they were supposed to be extinct.
My possibility of playing quarterback tumbles out of reach, just like my football.
A black-bordered letter arrives from your mother. I mean, mother me, the mother duck who rides on the river.
Hi, my name is Arriel Vinson, and I'm the author of Under the Neon Lights. I really wanted to think about what it meant to build community as a teen and what it meant to maintain that community. I wanted to say, you do have agency, you can have hope, you can make changes in your community. But then the second thing was, what does home mean? So I was trying to define what a home can be, and it's not always just the place you live, but the places that you feel most safe.
My name's Kenneth Kraegel, and I wrote and illustrated Something Good. I think the way Indiana influences my work is in the landscapes. The Indiana, the Midwest landscape of rivers and ponds and forest, farmland. I love that landscape. I could be on the mountains or the ocean, but to me, this is its own kind of beauty.
My name is Shifa Saltagi Safadi, and I'm the author of Kareem Between. Kareem Between was inspired by my own upbringing as a Syrian American. Growing up in America, I always struggled to, find my own place. Being part of Northwest Indiana means that my book Kareem Between was very influenced by feeling like sort of between Indiana and Chicago even. Kind of adds to that betweenness, He lives in Northwest Indiana, but he really identifies with Chicago. So I kind of loved those different reflections. I think Indiana really has so many different cultures.
When I wrote the collection of poems called Death Styles, I was thinking about how do we go on after a grief that seems so insurmountable, it rearranges the whole way you walk on the earth. I did not know the answer to that question after a big grief in my life, which was the death of a newborn child who died actually in the NICU at Riley. So to answer this question about how I was going to still live on this planet, I wrote this book, The Death Styles, and every single day I would write a poem, and every single day I would accept a style inspiration from the universe that would teach me how to get through that day.
Yeah. Substance abuse is a difficult topic, not an easy topic with easy answers. My name is Mary Ardery, and I wrote Level Watch. I started writing the book because I needed to process an intense job that I had. I worked as a wilderness guide for a substance abuse program, but I also was writing the book because I wanted to understand my own family's history and relationship to alcohol and to sobriety and recovery. I hope people take away from the book a greater capacity or willingness to live with uncertainty.
Hi, my name is Kaveh Akbar, and I wrote a book called Martyr. We talk often about how one makes their life count or how one, makes a difference with their life. And given that we are all, as far as I'm aware, given exactly one life and exactly one death on this earth, I always thought it kind of curious that we don't talk more about making the death part count the same way we talk about making the life part count. And so this book began as a kind of investigation into the latter, a way of thinking about people who were trying to find ways to make death count.
Well, my wife's a therapist, and she's specialized in trauma. So I would hope people might look at trauma, approach that in a different way, and how that can be dealt with. My name is Bennett, Ayres, and I wrote And I Will Follow. When I write, I a lot of times go into the past, or into the future, and hopefully it's a way to make people look at stuff that's relevant at the moment. It's the only way I can look at something that I'm in the middle of. I can't look with perspective at stuff that I'm dealing with at the moment. I have to go back 100 years or a couple hundred.
I'm Michael Koryta, writing under the pen name Scott Carson. I wrote the novel Departure 37. I'm always in pursuit of just a good story first. What is a compelling thing that hopefully keeps the reader engaged? But I have been very struck by the parallel rhetoric, or what I saw as parallel between our current moment with the debate around artificial intelligence and the 60s and that Cold War moment and the debate around nuclear weapons, and kind of reminds us that the tech might change, but the moral and ethical arguments are not new. We've been here before.
This book was our attempt to tell a story of Indianapolis that we thought had not been told before. My name is Phillip Cox, and I wrote What a Building Does, the Hoosier Modernisms of Woollen.
My name is Niall Cronin, and I also wrote What a Building Does, the Hoosier Modernisms of Woollen.
We're both born and raised in Indianapolis, and Indianapolis is core to who we are today as writers and photographers and people who love architecture. And so, honestly, this book was a labor of love for us to kind of tell the world the story of Woollen and the story of modern architecture in Indianapolis.
Attempting to try and maybe encourage people to consider the built environment around them a little bit more.
When we celebrate Indiana authors, we're celebrating the people and places that make our state unique. Their work captures our history, our challenges, our hopes, and our diversity. When we invest in authors and readers, we're investing in the cultural life of Indiana and helping to create communities where people want to live, work, and raise their families.
Well, first of all, I feel really grateful that I grew up in Bloomington. It's a place where the arts are really valued.
I'm so deeply influenced by Indiana. I grew up in Bloomington. I went to school at IU. Even if the book is not set directly in Indiana, I could point you to a Hoosier influence.
The book I wrote, Death Styles, is definitely a South Bend book. I wrote it in my backyard. I sat in my backyard and I watched the way that weeds were growing on the chain link fence. And then I would stop and walk my dog around the river.
Under the Neon Lights is an Indiana book through and through. I really wanted to honor what the seasons felt like. I wanted to honor what it felt like to be a teen in Indianapolis.
There's something about the kind of pathological Indiana politeness, just like the earnest niceness that governs all interaction.
We couldn't have done this book without Indianapolis, and wouldn't want to either.
Indiana definitely influences my writing. It's where most of my books are set. My chapter book series is set in Indianapolis, where I was before I got married, and then Kareem Between is set in Northwest Indiana, which is where I live now.
I heard a historian talking about Indiana one time and talking about how it has an understated beauty, and you kind of have to be around and pay enough attention to get to what's underneath what seems really mundane and can seem really boring and routine. And I think that builds character.
I think it's very easy for most of us to say, oh, there's nothing happening in Indianapolis. I hear it all the time. But there's so much happening, and there's so much that can be happening.
I think there's a growing appreciation for authors whose stories reflect a wider range of backgrounds and lived experiences. I think that's why Glick is so proud to support the Indiana Authors Awards.
This is wonderful. Oh my God.
Are you kidding me right now? Thank you.
The awards celebrate extraordinary writers, but they also celebrate the power of stories to connect people, strengthen communities, and inspire that next generation of readers and creators.
I guess I just want to say how much it means to me to win this award. Like, it really was a dream of mine for a long time.
It was so gratifying when I was shortlisted to just feel like my home state claimed me. It was like surprisingly meaningful to me. And so I think that has really helped me feel like I had community here too.
I believe I'm the first Muslim woman actually to win the Indiana Author Award, and that just makes me so happy, and I hope this opens the door for more Muslims to believe in themselves and write and represent Indiana.
I think it's very important that people feel as if they can stay in this place, in our home state, and do that work. And not only can they do that, but it's really, not to be too precious about it, but I think it's really to the benefit of the community to be able to produce art from your hometown.